Children's advocates say Queensland's youth justice reforms have taken community safety a step backwards. After 3 days of debate, the Queensland Parliament passed laws to crack down on youth offenders. Catherine Hayes from the Youth Advocacy Centre says the changes will not stop youth crime.
Thanks for your company this Friday. We made it. I'm coming to you from Bindal and Waggarookaba country. I hope you've got an exciting weekend planned. Now, those new youth justice reforms have been passed in Queensland Parliament overnight with a tougher stance on crime. But a retired Queensland magistrate has labelled them as barbaric. Find out why soon.
This is ABC Radio Queensland.
Do you have a take on the youth crime problems and what should be done to get the laws and the kids back on the right path? Over the recent days, our politicians in State Parliament have been hotly debating the reforms to youth justice, which have been passed overnight. Some are praising the harder stance. Others say it does nothing to actually stop the problem. Well, a retired magistrate, Pat O'Shane, is not impressed. I spoke with her a short time ago and I asked her what she made of the reforms that have just been introduced.
The rubbish that these governments are dishing out to us is simply barbaric. It's a return to the days when we used to lock people up in underground cells and chain them to the walls. Bedlam it was. But isolation drives people crazy. And I thought we were a civilised society. But what really is absolutely outrageous is that Australia is a signatory to the UN Convention on Rights of the Child. I don't know yet any state in this country that's adhered to those principles or even looked at the convention, even looked at the terms of the convention. What are they trying to do? They're just making more problems for society.
Do you think that these reforms that were brought in overnight are more about winning votes than actually solving the problem?
You can bet your hot socks. Apart from the barbaric practices, they're also racist in this state. But now they are in Western Australia as well, Northern Territory, where I practiced once upon a time. These governments are actually sowing the seeds of further destruction of these young people. They come out, they are angry, they react in adverse ways to themselves and to society. I am talking about observation, the scientific light. The science is psychology and human behaviour, child behaviour. Why is it so difficult to do? Does it cost less to lock these kids up in solitude?
You are a former, you're a retired magistrate. This is obviously raising lots of concerns for you on many levels.
Well, I found that it's far better. I did it with a number of young people. I would not send them to jail. I looked at their circumstances, all of the circumstances of their lives, and some of them are real tearaways. But we don't flog them half to death or lock them away in isolation and expect to change their behaviours and the circumstances in the communities. Children are the mirrors of how the adults behave, and that's just fundamental psychology. So I sat down and I thought to myself, there's got to be a better way of dealing with these young people. And what I worked out was that, first of all, we're going to change their behaviour, not by locking them away in isolation, but by engaging them in changing their own behaviour. And it can be done. I did it. Not only did I do it, but colleagues of mine then asked me if they could adopt what my procedures. What I did was, okay, I'm not sending you to jail. I'm not at this stage. You are going to a psychologist, do this 3 months, get a 3 months program to change their behaviour. Okay, so that starts with the mind. Come back with a very good report, and it was almost always a very good report, because once it's like, it was an inducement for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would then put them on the next program for 3 months. And the next program would be to go to physical or training program. They do that. They come back with a good report. The next one would be go to a medical doctor and get a good report.
Mm.
And bit by bit, I changed their lives in that way. I didn't roar at them. I didn't yell at them. I didn't say, well, you're going to be locked away like a rabid animal. I didn't do that. I gave them an inducement. They'd go away and they would do it because it was an inducement. It was some way that they could change their lives. And then I would say to them at the end, go and find a job. Go and stack shelves at Woolies or Coles. That's something very easy for them to do. It wasn't a major behavioural change getting that job. But once they did get that job, they were then encouraged to go out and find other jobs. And guess what? They did.
Pat, do you think that the reason, like you mentioned, the psychological health of these kids, many come from traumatic backgrounds, their parents may have had traumatic backgrounds too, and there's a bit of a cycle there, but then these kids, they may be from a house that there's trauma, there may be drug use or other sorts of substance abuses. Do you think it's the fact that they've seen somebody and then they've taken the time to care, and that's an ongoing process that other people are noticing that they care, so they care about themselves and they care about their future? Do you think that that's creating a new trend and a new cycle within their lives of caring and not being seen through that negative behaviour?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've proved it over and over and over. And as I was on the bench. I was a lawyer for a long time, many, many years. And my colleagues observed the changes in the young people, not young people, but mostly young people, and implemented the same practices as I had established in my courts and with the young people that I was dealing with at the time. It actually doesn't cost a lot of money. In fact, it costs far less money to put these programs in place to enable not just the child, but also the parents. A lot of parents would not come along when their kids came to court, but parents would come along when they realised that their child was being given an opportunity to change their behaviour. And the kids, at the end, when they came back, the parents would come along with them and take pride in the fact that the child had actually changed their behaviour. And time after time, parents would write to me, as would the young person themselves, write to me afterwards and thank me for it, thank me for doing this. And I would say to them, I didn't do it. I gave you the opportunity to do it. Now, that is an inducement like no other. It's nothing barbaric. Everybody likes to be given an opportunity to show that they can do things themselves to change their behaviour. And it just works like a charm. It is not, rocket science. You don't have to be Einstein. You have to be concerned to change the circumstances. The only circumstances politicians ever want to change are their very own.
Retired Magistrate Pat O'Shane there. What do you think? 1300 630 222. You can also send through an SMS 0487 993 222. And on Monday, I'm going to be speaking with a young man who's been through the retired Magistrate Pat O'Shane's program and what it's meant for him and what he thinks of these reforms.